I now call this chamber to order. Our first up will be having Bill 102, a bill to stop the madness. Is there an author here?
If there are no objections.
If there's no objection, I'll waive the reading of the bill.
Objection.
You object? Okay.
Okay, so basically what the bill is saying is that in 3 months the United States must enforce a draft for the Iraq War, or they have to pull out. It doesn't give them an option within 3 months. So I wrote an authorship in favor of this bill, obviously, since I wrote it. And an authorship speech is a 4-minute speech given in Congress by the author or someone from the author's school. Okay, so. The United States is in an $8 trillion deficit. 77,000 civilians have died, along with even more soldiers, and the United States is still waging the war in Iraq. To add to the list of growing problems, there are now not enough soldiers in Iraq to effectively conduct the war on terror. Representatives, continuing the war without instituting the draft is pure madness. The United States must come to its senses and bring in more troops for Iraq by starting the draft once again for these 3 reasons. First, a draft will put pressure on the executive branch to end the war. Second, a draft is needed because of the shortage of soldiers. And third, a draft would make every citizen in America assume responsibility for the war. For my first reason, that the draft will put pressure on the executive branch to end the war. So far in the war on terror, President Bush has tried as hard as possible to avoid making it seem like another Vietnam. According to Tom Hayden, a political writer, public support for the war is essential for it to continue. As of now, only 40% of Americans support the war in its current state. With the draft instituted, it is certain that support would drop sharply, therefore putting pressure on President Bush to end the war. As Representative Rangel has said, there's no question in my mind that this president and this administration would never have invaded Iraq if indeed we have a draft and members of Congress and the administration thought that their communities would be placed in harm's way. For my second reason, that the draft is needed because of the need for more soldiers. The United States is desperately in need of recruits to fight in Iraq. According to Rolling Stone magazine, the Army has lowered its standards, now admitting 25% more high school dropouts. The Army has also forcibly renewed contracts of soldiers, having them serve in Iraq for an unknown number of years. The National Guard has even been called on to fight, according to several sources. A draft is clearly needed if this war is to continue for much longer. This bill would give the executive branch 3 months to either pull out of Iraq or organize a draft. A draft would quickly and effectively get the soldiers needed to continue fighting. And my third reason, that the draft would make every American citizen assume responsibility for fighting this war. As of now, 64% of soldiers describe their economic situation as home as desperate. And according to the Sun-Times on October 30th, most soldiers come from areas where the economy is struggling and economic prospects are very poor. The United States needs to stop depending on the lower economic classes to fight this war for them. It is time everybody took responsibility for fighting in this war. As Honorable Representative Rangel has said, I truly believe that those who make the decision and those who support the United States going into war would feel more readily the pain that's involved, the sacrifice that's involved, if they thought that the fighting force would include the affluent and those who have historically avoided this great responsibility, according to CNN. And what this administration has said, that this war is good for the good of all citizens, then let all citizens fight for the common good. The United States needs to realize the need for more troops in Iraq and the need to end the war as soon as possible. This bill will do both. For the previously stated reasons, that this bill will put pressure on the executive branch to end the war, enlist badly needed soldiers, and have every citizen in America assume responsibility in this war, please vote pro on Bill 102 and stop the